Hello and welcome back to more Professor Layton versus Phoenix Wright, Ace Attorney, where last time Professor Layton... Phoenix, shut up.
What are you doing?
I'm doing an intro, Phoenix, shut up. Professor Layton showed up to the trial, but not as a supporter or as a member of the gallery, but as the prosecutor, or, pardon me, the Inquisitor for the final witch trial of the game. Finally, the game is living up to its name, Professor Layton versus Phoenix Wright, Ace Attorney, where we can finally show Professor Layton who's boss and grind his logic into the ground. Let's do this.
What am I doing, Mr. Wright?
Yeah, you were supposed to show up with some decisive evidence and save the day, Professor.
I'm afraid my only concern here is the truth.
The truth?
The truth behind the real identity of the Great Witch, Espella Cantabella. If seeking the truth requires us to stand on opposite sides of the courtroom, then so be it. I expect you to defend Miss Cantabella with everything you've got, Mr. Wright.
Court is now back in session. Are you prepared, High Inquisitor? So long as I remain on the witness stand, I am no longer High Inquisitor. Simply Darklaw will suffice. Miss Darklaw, I'd like to just confirm something. A moment ago, we established that you were, in fact, present at the bell tower during the time of the incident. That makes a total of 3 people at the scene. It would appear that was the case. However, you managed to stay hidden from 10 different guards. With the help of this right here. The robe of invisibility. In other words, there is every reason to be suspicious of your actions tonight. Lady Darklaw, well, I cannot believe you would deceive us in such a way. I ask that you tell the court what happened at the time of the incident. Very well. Okay, here we go. Facing off against High Inquisitor Darklaw, though I'm pretty sure she was referred to as Professor Darklaw early in the game when we first met her. Anyway, the town square is to be the parade's final stop. I patrolled the perimeter to ensure nothing was amiss. As I passed by the bell tower, a pair of small footprints leading inside caught my eye. I went inside to investigate. I had my own reason for not allowing any one of those vigilantes to see me. And, are you gonna elaborate? No? Okay, I guess I'm not gonna elaborate. I'm gonna need to know what those reasons are, Darklaw. You apprehended the intruder? While I hold the position of High Inquisitor, there are often times when I must partake in various secret tasks, unbeknownst to the citizens of Labyrinthia. Yeah, well, those secrets are about to become very much out in the open because you're in court on the witness stand. That secrets don't last long when you're facing off against Phoenix Wright. One of those tasks being ensuring the security of the storyteller. Security? As such, there is nothing odd nor suspicious about my actions tonight. I see. Defender, you may now begin your interrogation. Okay. Cross-examination. Here we go. First things first. What exactly were those reasons you mentioned?
Hold it!
And what were those reasons? They relate to protecting the storyteller. It was something I was to carry out at that particular time. Did it perhaps have something to do with what was already decided upon in the story? The storyteller's word is absolute. Therefore, any and all those who make an attempt to alter his will must be dealt with immediately. Oh! Kira?
Hang on!
Something gotta say? Excuse me, Miss Kira. Witness. Ah, yes. Figures. She really doesn't remember her own name. You seem to be deep in thought about something. Did you remember anything regarding the High Inquisitor's testimony? No, I'm sorry, nothing in particular. It's just, I'm a little disappointed in myself. Disappointed? I traveled all the way here to Labyrinthia in order to fulfill my mission, but all I managed to do was fail and end up being captured. Regardless of your own failure, Miss Kira, the storyteller did die as was foretold, did he not? Tonight, as the rain came pouring down over the town, I arrived at my designated location. Naturally, the bell tower was surrounded by guards on patrol. 10 to be exact. I was very nervous. She must be talking about the vigilantes. Just relax, you'll be fine so long as you're wearing this robe, I kept telling myself. Little did I know I was wrong. But none of this would have happened if I was just a little bit more careful. Enough. I'd be thinking more about it atoning for your past crimes and less about what could have been if I were you. What might have been. Is there anything wrong with Kira's testimony? Of course there's something wrong with it. There's always something wrong with it. Hold on 1 second about your testimony, Miss Kira. You were thinking to yourself so long as you had your robe on you'd be fine. Yes, that's right. So basically you were wearing the robe the whole time you were on top of the bell tower, is that right? Yes, I had it on the entire time. That is, until I was attacked. Then my robe was ripped off by the wind. Miss Kira, this is the first time we've heard any mention of this information. Is that so? I think I might have just forgotten. Your Honor, perhaps we should update this piece of evidence in the court record. Right you are. Invisibility robe worn by Kira when she was attacked. Visible only to Eldritch Wood residents. Okay. Lady Darklight, please continue testimony. Okay, does that contradict something? I climbed the stairs of the bell tower and saw an intruder. Oh, okay, did we read this? I don't think I read this statement. I think I saw this, and then I needed to press for more information, so I didn't read the last one. Okay, so, obvious contradiction is obvious.
Objection!
So the person you saw when you entered the bell tower was actually Miss Kira. The only problem with that is that it would have been impossible, because if she was wearing the invisibility robe the entire time, then obviously you would not have been able to see her. Unless, of course, she happened to be from Eldritch Woods. The witness stated that while she was waiting on the upper floor of the tower, she was wearing her invisibility robe. Therefore, there's no way Miss Darklight would have been able to see the witness. Oh, you're quite right. Anyone wearing this robe becomes invisible. Right, but there is just one particular group that can see anyone dressed in this robe. And who is that exactly? Only residents of the Eldritch Woods are able to see the robe. If you're from the Eldritch Woods, then you'll have absolutely no problem seeing this thing.
Objection.
So, what you are saying, Mr. Wright, is that Miss Darklight here actually hails from the Eldritch Woods, is that correct? And that she knew this girl prior to tonight. That's right, Professor. What is this? Most impressive display, Mr. Wright. However, there is one detail you appear to have overlooked. Something I overlooked? You say Miss Darklight saw something she should not have been able to see. However, the truth is that there is one other possibility as to what occurred tonight. Did he say what I think he just said? It's rather easy to work out. Quite simply, the witness was not wearing the robe in the first place. What are you talking about, Inquisitor? The witness has proven her memory of tonight's events to be quite unreliable. I believe that by the time she climbed the bell tower, she had in fact already removed her robe. What? Did as you say, Inquisitor. As you can see, Defender, your assertion is mere speculation at best. Your little witness here has been lying to the court the entire time. It's as simple as that.
Objection!
1 second, the witness was quite clear with her testimony. Isn't that right, Miss Kira? I'm not sure. Oh, come on. How do you go from being sure to being like, I don't know. What? I mean, my memory is a little fuzzy. No way! It would appear there is nothing more to be gained from this line of questioning. Your Honor, I suggest we return to the cross-examination. A fine idea, Inquisitor. Well then, Lady Darklight, will you please continue with the testimony? I don't know that the judge would actually allow Layton to stand there as an Inquisitor, considering he's an outsider who isn't even vaguely associated with the law, but okay. No matter how you slice it, Kira looks like she's definitely hiding something. If only there was some way of getting her to talk, huh, Nick? No matter what Kira says, Darklight just stays cool and brushes it off. Yeah, this is gonna be easy, that's for sure. That's why we really need to set our sights on Darklight. If we keep doing that, then sooner or later Kira's bound. Okay, so that was wrong then. Whoa, Nick, that's your most dastardly devious plan yet. Alright, I know there's still a clue or two in this testimony somewhere, and I'm gonna find it. I should go back and double check her previous testimony. There has to be some more contradictions. Okay, so what you're telling me, game, is that I was wrong, so that was just completely pointless line of questioning that I shouldn't have done in the first place. So that was just a complete waste of my time. Great, lovely. Okay. That led nowhere. As I pass by the bell tower, small pair of footprints, I guess I can try this.
Hold it!
Those must have been Miss Kira's footsteps from when she snuck into the bell tower, right? Indeed, the ground outside was quite muddy after the rain, so footprints were easily visible. Right, according to Vigilante's testimony, they thought the footprints looked like Foxy's, but it turned out they weren't hers. That's right, the footprint would have contained a mark where her stiletto had been, but the footprint I saw at the bell tower contained no heel mark at all. That's just wrong. And you stepped inside those footprints on your way up the stairs, so as not to leave your own risk being detected, correct? Exactly. At that time, my main task was to ensure the safety of the town square. In doing so, it was of the utmost importance that no one knew of my presence there. Had the townspeople noticed your presence there, it would undoubtedly have raised some suspicion. Indeed, so naturally that is why I did not wish to be noticed by the Vigilantes. Therefore, it was imperative that I mask any traces of my being there, even if it meant utilizing another footprints. I see. A clever tactic worthy of the High Inquisitor herself. Is there anything off it? Of course there is. There's something very, very wrong. Miss Darklaw, I just noticed something in your testimony that's very relevant to the case. The defense requests you amend your testimony. You just can't help letting that ridiculous imagination of yours run wild, can you?
The Inquisition has no objections. Very well. The witness will amend her testimony.
Okay, Miss Darklaw. So, I have a little sketch here that shows that there very much was a heel there. What I have here is a sketch of the footprints left of the bell tower. So tell me, Miss Darklaw, are these your footprints in the sketch? It would appear so. I would never mean to offend the hard work of Labyrinthi's vigilantes, but tonight's task was mine and mine alone. Okay, when you put it that way, I can't help but notice a contradiction. What did you just say? Miss Darklaw, you stated the following. When you climbed the stairs, the footprints had no heel, so you tried to match your footsteps to them as far as possible. However, if you were to look at the actual footprints that were left behind, you can clearly see that not only is the heel present, but also so is the entire foot. If you were trying so hard to step on the footprints already there, then the footprints in the sketch shouldn't have heel marks.
That is very true. Although I do not think such a small detail is of much importance in the long run. What?
I agree, it's a small detail, Your Honor, but it's not all I noticed. There was something very telling about Miss Darklaw's testimony.
Telling, you say?
She stated that she stepped onto the footprints that were already at the scene in order to disguise her presence. Now, there's something strange there specifically. Why were these footprints left at the crime scene in the first place?
Objection.
Mr. Wright,
Yes, Professor?
tell me, can you show the court why this seemingly minor detail is odd?
I can't exactly do that at the moment.
Who can say whether or not these footprints are indeed worthy of concern? And if it is an issue, then what exactly are the implications? That, above all, is what you must answer, Mr. Wright. I do not believe you can assert this is a blatant contradiction at this time.
There he goes again, flexing that amazing... Oh, shut up, Phoenix. That's enough. Miss Kira? Lady Darklaw, how could you? How could you simply abandon us? How could you betray us?
Betray? Witness, what is the meaning of this?
Lady Darklaw, you are the mistress of Eldritch Woods. You are the one responsible for handing us our tasks.
What?
Not that I'm surprised by that in the slightest. Like I said, at this point, I've survived 3 Professor Layton games of constant bullshit, and I've made my way through the Ace Attorney series with constant plot twists and really, really complicated logical things to break down. So at this point, I don't think there's anything that could possibly surprise me in this game. People of Labyrinthia, I ask you, what am I if not a loyal daughter of this fair town? No, you're lying, Lady Darklaw. When I was waiting up there at the top of the tower, I was most certainly wearing that robe. Oh, well, wow, you went from your memory's great to your memory sucks to your memory's amazing real quick. Lady Darklaw, you were also wearing a similar robe, were you not? Don't you remember? What nonsense. I haven't a clue what you're babbling about. I simply managed to sneak right past those makeshift guards. 'Twas not the most demanding of tasks for someone like me. Yes, you're right, that'd be true. If you'd be sneaking around by yourself.
By yourself?
Enough! Listen to me and listen well. Continue as you are, and I will see to it that this court will be the last place in which you ever set foot. It matters not. The end is already nigh. After the events of today, I shouldn't even be here right now. Miss Kira, you're saying that Miss Darklaw was not by herself at the time of the incident tonight? That's right. Lady Darklaw was wearing the invisibility robe, and underneath that robe was a young girl passed out on her back.
What? A girl? Could that be?
Yes. It was the very same girl imprisoned inside the cage up there.
You mean Isabella Cantabella?
That would explain why she had to make a heel print in the footprint, because there's no way she could possibly carried a spell up the stairs on her back by just tiptoeing up the stairs. That did not happen, so that would explain why there's a heel print in the photo.
Objection.
Miss Darklaw, you of all people should be aware that this isn't a matter of believing or not believing. I'm afraid those are words that carry no meaning here. The only thing that carries any meaning here within the courtroom is evidence, don't you agree, Mr. Wright?
Well, if you want evidence, then just check the goddamn photo. The photo that shows the heel print there, because now we have to have an explanation for why she would have had to put all the weight of her foot down as she was climbing up the stairs. Do you actually think you can prove that I, the High Inquisitor of Labyrinthia, carried the keys into the bell tower? Yes, I can. I absolutely can. Without a shadow of a doubt, I can do that. From the looks of it, Miss Kira was supposed to keep quiet about Darklaw's little secret, but she couldn't deal with all Darklaw's denials and finally found the guts to chime in. I can't let Kira's efforts go to waste. I don't care what stands in my way, I'm gonna find the truth. Your Honor, the defense wishes to present evidence proving that Miss Darklaw did in fact carry my client out of the tower.
Very well, defender, you may present your evidence.
Show us the evidence, it's just a sketch again.
Take that!
There was something in your testimony just now that I'm not buying. And that's the footprints that were left at the bell tower. Did I not just finish admitting those were my footprints? Miss Darklight, you stated the following. There was no heel in the footprints, so as I ascended the stairs, I was careful to match my footprints to them as far as possible. However, the reality is, the footprints pictured in the sketch actually do contain a heel. That means something must have prevented you from being able to tiptoe along the footprints that were already there. Prevented? Oh, you mean... That's right, Your Honor. Miss Darklight, when you climbed the bell tower tonight, you must have been carrying Miss Cantabelle on your back, is that correct? If you remember, it rained quite heavily tonight. That means the stairs must have been quite slippery. With your two hands occupied carrying my client, there would be no safe way for you to tiptoe up the stairs without falling. That right there is the truth behind the footprints in the staircase. Lady Darklaw, you...
Fine, I admit it. It is as you say, I donned the robe and made my way up the tower. But I was not alone. I carried both Aspella Cantabelle and her little friend up the tower with me.
Little friend, it's a cat, obviously.
That black-furred creature of hers, the thing is nary ever a second from her side. Oh, she must be Eve! When I arrived at the top of the tower, I saw this girl already there and called out to her. I was very shocked to see the mistress show up in person like that. The girl's presence was an inconvenience, so I immediately put her to sleep. Believe it or not, it's just like you said, Defender. I used what remained of Belduke's medicine to put the girl out of the picture.
And that's when Miss Kira put up a fight and pulled this pendant right off your neck, correct?
That's right.
I cannot fathom it. That would mean this pendant actually belongs to you, Lady Darklaw? Yes. We knew that since yesterday. Or not yesterday, 2 days ago when we were up at the tower with Luke and Layton. I just have one question, Miss Darklaw. Why? Why take a spell out the bell tower? Why render her unconscious? And why go through the trouble of sneaking past the guards? What exactly was your aim in all of this?
I am in no way obliged to answer that question, Defender.
What? Well, what makes you say that?
Simple. None of this has any relevance to the case at hand. That is why.
Objection!
Miss Darklaw, you rendered the witness unconscious and locked her up at the top of the bell tower. I say that is more than a little relevant.
Objection!
Your Honor, if I may, the Inquisition believes the defense's question to be irrelevant to the current case. Professor, what are you saying? It would seem the defense has forgotten a very important point. Namely, the point of this, Mr. Wright. Huh? The aim of this trial is to find the identity of the Great Witch Bezella. Whether or not Miss Darklaw locked the witness to the top of the bell tower is hardly relevant to the purpose of this trial. But there is one thing that is very clear. Neither Miss Darklaw nor this witness could possibly be Bezella. What? If either one of the two were Bezella, then there would be no need for them to have used the Robe of Invisibility. They cannot use any magic, therefore it is inconceivable that either of them could be the Great Witch. A rather straightforward argument if there ever was one. At the time of the incident, there were 3 people present. Of those 3, 2 used the Robe of Invisibility to vanish from sight, leaving only one person, indeed, Miss Cantabelle. With this in mind, the larger question is, who is Bezella?
Is that not obvious? The accused Aspella Cantabelle is the only possible answer. Besides, the accused's voice was heard by all the townspeople chanting the spell Grand Worm.
Objection!
Not so fast. I happen to think these witnesses are extremely relevant to this trial. Did you forget about Miss Kira? She supposedly took a one-way trip into that pit of fire over there. And yet here she is in one piece testifying that she returned in order to kill the ruler of Labyrinthia, the storyteller. Then there's Miss Darklaw, who rendered the defendant unconscious and proceeded to transport her up to the bell tower. I'd say there's more than enough reason to say who these two really are. I'm saying there's a possibility that these two are somehow related to Bezella. The court will now announce its thoughts on the matter. I must say what Inquisitor Layton has stated certainly does ring true. However, Lady Darklaw, I have one question I must ask you. What exactly were you hoping to accomplish here tonight?
I assure you, 'twas not my intent to deceive the good citizens of Labyrinthia. However, I must now reveal the truth to you all.
Oh, I can't wait. I can't wait for you to try to tell me what you were doing and then me prove you wrong. Lady Darklaw, you are saying that...
That's right, my lord. I am a shade.
A shade. Lady Darklaw, will you please tell the court exactly what you mean by when you say shade?
Yes, of course. I grow weary of standing behind this bench. I'll tell you all I can.
What the heck is she trying to pull? Why testify about something that could potentially undermine your credibility? Because she probably knows it's going to help prove a spell as Bezella. But we're not going to let her. We know our way around these parts. This ain't our first rodeo.
Shades lives outside the realm of those who dwell within Labyrinthia. To them, I am known as the Great Witch. Those that are put to the flames in the witch trials become shades who live their lives in the forest. We exist to carry out the task given to us by, our mistress, the Great Witch herself. I am not a witch, nor am I a wandering spirit.
Great. What on earth? High Inquisitor Darklaw.
Do you mean
to say that not only are you a witch, but that you're the Great Witch? I do hope you have not forgotten what was established only moments ago. It is not possible for Miss Darklaw to be Bezella, but Inquisitor Layton, sure this is when he just now proves it. I'm afraid that in the heat of such revelations, you have all misheard the information.
'Tis pointless. This is the extent of what the people of this town will believe.
I believe the truth will become clear during our cross-examination. Don't you agree, Mr. Wright? Defender, you may begin your interrogation.
Okay, well, there isn't much to contradict here, so for the first time in a long time, I think we're just gonna have to press everything and hope that something jumps out at me.
Hold it!
Great Witch? Yes, that's right. However, I am not Bezella. The mistress to those who dwell in the Eldritch Woods is dubbed the Great Witch. Even if I wanted to be Bezella, I couldn't. As the ever-so-charming Inquisitor stated earlier, I cannot use magic.
Miss Darklaw, I have one question. What do you mean by live outside the realm?
I mean just that, Inquisitor. We truly do live in a realm separate from this town. Now, surely one as intelligent as yourself has worked out the answer by now, no?
Perhaps that remains to be seen, Miss Darklaw.
Regardless, this is something we cannot discuss with anyone, but it is something that the defense should be able to prove.
That all sounds like a challenge. By the way, Miss Darklaw, since you're not actually a witch,
why do you continue to be called that? To answer that, I must first discuss the true identity of the Shades. Those that are put to the flames in the witch trials, yeah, okay.
Hold it!
So you're saying that the Kira here right now is a shade version of the Kira from before? Indeed, Defender. The girl has no recollection of her life prior to living in those woods.
What manner of witchery is this? Why, this girl, Kira the Flower Seller, was cast straight to the flames before our very eyes.
That's right, Your Honor, but as you can see, she did not die. You see, there's actually a trick to the incineration device in the witch's court.
A trick?
Once the verdict has been delivered, the court attendants move the steel cage into a position after which it seals shut. Then, the cage is dropped down into a pit of fire. The bottom of the cage then opens, allowing the witch inside to escape unharmed into an underground passage.
If what you're saying is true, Defender, then what of this town's witch project history? What has been the purpose of all of this?
You and the knights have indeed been ridding Labyrinthia of witches, however. Nary a single life has been taken in the process. That is the reality.
But you cannot truly expect me to believe such a ridiculous notion.
Oh, that's ridiculous. Is it Maya because she's gonna take off her helmet now? Yep. Take a good hard look. It doesn't get any more alive than this.
Oh, it's you!
I am May. Okay, that couldn't have been more wrong if you tried. That could not have possibly been more wrong. Well, it's actually Maya Fey, your forgetfulness. What the heck are you doing? Everyone's gonna recognize you. Yeah, but seeing is believing, Nick. Now they have to believe you. Do you see? Are you satisfied? All those found guilty in the witch trials lose their names, magic, and memory. They are then sent to spend their lives as shades in the Eldritch Woods. And the mistress of those shades is the Great Witch. As you can see, this girl too has become a shade.
I have no more words to express my utter disbelief of the situation.
That's enough. Shall we return to the testimony? Why do I have a feeling things are going to get a lot worse? Because you've played these games before. Okay, let's just keep pressing. Someone's gonna jump out eventually. These tasks you mentioned, were you acting on them this evening? Yes, I was told to come here and become Bezella.
Wait just a moment, witness. Did you just say become Bezella? Order!
I'm sorry, I don't know why I was given such a task. All I can do is follow the orders I am given.
Oh, I didn't want to move.
If I can do that, then I can return. What do you mean you can return? Such is the name of the shades, or the nature of the shades. Neither human nor witch, there is an existence meant in the shadows. Each of the shades is given specific tasks, then upon successfully completing such tasks, they are allowed to return to Labyrinthia as brand new people.
But, Lady Darklaw, how can they return as brand new citizens, when we already know who they are, or who they were? For instance, we all recognize the former Flower Seller standing before us.
Now that, my lord, remains a secret, but a secret that you will come to understand sooner rather than later.
Simply baffling.
The one who gives us our tasks is the Great Witch. That would be you, Lady Darklaw. I mean, oh, magnificent one.
Well, this explanation is wrought with much I cannot comprehend. I request the witnesses added to the testimony.
Okay.
Still no contradiction there, but I'm gonna press it anyway.
Hold it!
I haven't had to press every single statement in a long time. There's gotta be something here. So about these tasks, can you give us any other examples?
A Shade's task must be discussed, or must never be discussed with others, no matter what.
She says that even though she just finished telling us all about her secret task. Incidentally, do you perhaps remember when you arrived back in town to carry out your orders?
Well, not really. My memory's still a little fuzzy. Say, didn't Kira only just recently become one of those shade thingies? Still, I failed at my task tonight.
Come to think of it, when Luke and I had our little run-in with Kira, I remember being blown clear across the marketplace, but I never saw any explosives or gunpowder.
Maybe Kira was given the task of blowing you to smithereens, Nick!
And we're done. Getting back to this testimony. I'm sure there's something here that just doesn't add up. I'm trying to find it, but no matter how many statements I press, nothing's jumping out at me. Maybe here? One of these statements, through the simple process of elimination, there's gotta be something here. You really don't have any recollection of your old flower-selling self, do you?
I don't. When a witch becomes a shade, they lose all memory of their past life.
They lose their memories, but why? And yet you still have some grasp of the concept of magic, do you not, witness?
Let me spell it out for you. Magic does not exist in the Eldritch Woods. Oh, but there are actually lots of things back in the forest that I have not seen in this town.
There are things you haven't seen here?
Like really huge machines, that sort of thing. There's one that spits out fire with such amazing speed and then expels these huge plumes of...
Spits out fire with such amazing speed and expels huge plumes of great smoke? A machine that spits fire? I've never heard of such a thing. Are you certain that these machines of which you speak are not simply magic?
You know, now that you mention it, I don't think anyone from this town can actually see those of us from the forest.
They can't see you? Could be something like that robe? No, probably because there's a giant freaking wall in the way that they can't see past. How could such a thing even be possible without magic?
Objection.
Clearly you haven't heard of animatronics. Miss Darklaw, if I may interrupt for just a moment, I'll be honest, the first thing that flashed in my mind when I heard machines that spit out fire, I'm like, oh, are we gonna go down the animatronic dragon route? Is that why? Is that how this is gonna be solved? Because they didn't actually use magic, it's just an animatronic dragon thing? What is it, Inquisitor Darklaw? Through your testimony just now, we have all come to understand the process of how one becomes a shade. However, I was hoping you could perhaps elaborate on one additional point. Namely, what exactly is the purpose behind the shades?
If you wish to know our purpose, there are certain other things you must first understand. Once you've done that, the answer should become quite clear. Isn't that right, Defender?
The purpose behind the shades.
Rest assured, you will not get the answer from me. As the saying goes, the witch is in your court, Defender.
Is that a saying people use here? Sounds like Darklaw's challenging me to figure this out. Challenge accepted. Well, I can't... There's no... If I'm correct, and we're going down the route of animatronic dragon things that are that kill the storyteller, then if we extend that logic forward, the Fire Witch, big machine emitting flames, the Golden Court, maybe they just had a spare Layton statue on hand. Something tells me we might be going down the route that all the magic in this town is actually bullshit. And if that's true, oh boy. But I've got to tell them, the truth has to come out. Since I arrived here in Labyrinthia, there's been no shortage of really strange events, that's for sure. Ignace, Demir, Godor, Goldor, and now Grandworm. The mere command of magic is in itself a crime, is it not? In this town, witches are arrested and made to participate in the witch trials. They are then sentenced to death by fire. But none of those witches actually died. The supposed death by fire wasn't real. And neither is magic. It doesn't really exist. What are you saying, Defender? The Eldritch Woods apparently contain some rather large machines, unlike anything that exists within Labyrinthia. Machines that emit fire and produce large plumes of smoke. To top it all off, the citizens of Labyrinthia are not able to see said machines. It sounds like nothing more than magic. Yes, that's exactly it, Your Honor. Miss Darklaw. Magic doesn't really exist in this town. That's the answer, isn't it? Magic does not? What utter nonsense!
It seems we have finally arrived at the stunning conclusion. The secret behind Labyrinthia.
What? What? Order, I say! What is the meaning of this?
It means that all the magic you've seen in this town is nothing more than an illusion created and put into motion by the shades. But Defender, which is we have clearly seen them use magic. Let us take a moment to think carefully about the systems employed by the shades. Systems? What is essentially in order for which to use magic? The witch must possess a Talia Magica and must say an incantation in order to cast a spell. And the spell is able to be cast determined by the scepter's magic gems. Now, what do you think is the purpose of placing such requirements in the use of magic? What do you mean purpose? These requirements are not there to allow the user to cast magic, rather the reality is that they are there to inform the shades of who should be using magic. It is possible that witches were always being closely observed by shades. That's why they donned these robes, to appear hidden until they were needed to create magic. Create? Indeed, there are all kinds of spells within this too. It would be quite troublesome if they were simply allowed to use any at will. Yeah, it would make the shades' job that much more difficult for sure. Precisely so. That's why it was apparent that a certain restriction placed on the use of magic. Okay, so, like, that's a neat twist and all, I suppose. Like, I got that instantly. The whole, like, okay, so why would there, if there's giant machines emitting fire outside the town, then clearly we're going down the route of, oh, so none of the magic's actually real. Which, for Professor Layton game, is kind of par for the course of the whole, oh, the town doesn't really exist, which obviously this town is, well, within the context of the book world, it's real, but, I mean, magic doesn't exist. Things being fake is not new for Layton. It's whatever. But where I'm stuck is, why? Why would you lie about something like that? You're referring to the Talia Magica, right, Professor? Of course, no wonder the scepter could contain only 2 magic gems. Then there's the incantation. What would happen if a witch could simply whisper the incantation quietly to herself and not even say it at all?
Boy, that'd be so cool! I'd be casting spells all day long and no one would ever see it coming!
Maya, we spent an entire trial proving that you weren't a witch, remember? If the witches didn't give some sort of signal, then there would be no way for the shades to know when to cast the spell. Aren't you all, Mr. Wright? The incantations were a way of telling the shades when the witch was ready to use magic. What on earth? Never did I think these requirements could have such a purpose. Now, let's think back to the previous events leading up to today that have involved magic. Our first encounter with magic was the use of the spell Ignite a few months ago. A spell like this. It's nothing more than a flame spewed from a machine used by the shades. Then that means Demir, a spell that makes the caster disappear. No doubt about it, must have been this robe. Next is the incident with Goldor, the spell that transmuted me into a gold statue. While I understand this may sound a bit absurd, I can only surmise that the shades created a gold statue in my image, took me and left it in my place the instant the incantation was uttered. Professor, it's no more absurd than anything else that's happened so far. We can therefore conclude that all of the magic in Labyrinth was created in a similar vein. And yeah, I got that far. I figured out all that much already. But what we're stuck at is the why. Like, why go to all the trouble to do that? What do you say to that, Miss Darklaw? Unless they're, like, trying to appease the storyteller, like the storyteller just keeps writing. Maybe the storyteller's just a Professor Layton writer, and they keep writing insane things that make no sense, and the shades are like, we gotta keep the story illusion alive. We gotta, make crazy machines that do magic because the writer's lost his goddamn mind. Maybe that's what it is.
I'd expect nothing less from you, Inquisitor Layton. At any given time, there were between 5 and 10 witches in town. All the witches were accompanied by shades at all times. It was easier than you would think. You see, the shades living in the Eldritch Woods total in the hundreds. It was simply a matter of having each of the shades operate in shifts in order to watch over each of the witches within the town.
I must say, Lady Darklaw, there's quite a number of shades.
It was not only those who fell victim to the flames that were turned into shades, but their victims too were made permanent residents of the Eldritch Woods. Then, those 2 shady thieves before were turned into shades? Ah, yes, you mean Robs and Mugs. Despite their dubious appearance, those 2 were a couple of my best shades.
Shady thieves turned into shades. This stuff writes itself. I cannot believe what I have heard. However, there is still one thing I do not understand just yet.
And what would that be?
As has just been established, or as has been explained, we have established that there is no possibility of magic being real. But replacing with a gold statue to give the illusion of transmutation, for example, while it sounds simple enough, I myself, and presumably also Miss Faye, have no recollection of this replacement actually taking place.
Hey, that's right! The professor got all bling-blingy before I could even bat an eye!
It begs the question, how and when was that statue created, let alone used to replace me? That is true. I'd stuck with the why. Like, why would any of this have happened in the first place? It's also create a portal between 2 green-colored walls. Perhaps that is exactly why the spell can only work on green walls, Mr. Wright. Still, it would be impossible for the shades to get those portals ready so quickly. I agree. If we take a moment to think, we can see that all of these spells have one strange thing in common. A thing in common? Yes, indeed. Almost as if some time between the start and end of the incident were unaccounted for. Furthermore, any memory I might have had regarding the incident seems to have simply disappeared in the process.
I got it, Nick! It's just like what happened to Kira. She got absolutely no memory of her life in everything before the trial, right?
Okay, let me guess. Is the juice they're cooking up in that workshop some kind of memory erasing device? Like, are they building Dr. Doofenshmirtz's amnesia and Adar constantly to make this all happen? Again, we've got the how pretty much figured out, but what we're stuck on is the why. Why is any of this?
And oh yeah, when you really think about it, doesn't it seem super weird how the Shades are able to return to town to complete their tasks?
You're right, Maya. I mean, the townsfolk are bound to remember some things about them, right? Like how Miss Kira here threw a major hissy fit in court and was barbecued for being a witch. Eloquently put, Mr. Wright. Hence, we cannot yet conclude that this entire illusion was primarily accomplished through the use of machinery. Simply put, must have been some way of affecting the memories of all those. I would check the workshop where they're brewing a bunch of potions constantly.
Missing time and lost memories? Now that is interesting, Inquisitor. You are correct. There is in fact a secret that lies within the depths of the Eldritch Woods. Something that the people of this town cannot see. Something that can rob people of their time and memories. 'Tis the very thing that connects all of what you have heard tonight. 'Tis a secret of monumental proportions.
And let me guess. 'Tis a secret that cannot be revealed by the Mistress of Eldritch Woods. Is that right?
Yes, an excellent deduction, Defender.
Witches' souls wander astray within the Eldritch Woods. Until tonight, I thought this nothing but a mere fairy tale told to children, but it has become clear that a seemingly large organization lies within that forest.
The Witch's Court is the border between this world and the other world.
Then that means, in this world, your Labyrinthia is High Inquisitor, while also being mistress to the Shades in the other world, otherwise known as the Great Witch. May I intervene for just a moment, Mr. Wright? Sure. In all honesty, there is still something that sticks out as a little odd, particularly in Miss Darklaw's previous testimony. Did you say the previous testimony? I'd already pushed it out of my head. There was one vital truth that we managed to take away from that testimony. You mean that magic does not truly exist in Labyrinthia? Indeed, quite the vital, albeit shocking truth. However, there is one more truth hidden within that same testimony. There's something else in that testimony? I must have checked the court record more times than I can count, but I didn't find a single other contradiction. Have you forgotten already, Mr. Wright? When there is no evidence left. We have but one more weapon at our disposal with which to uncover the truth.
Oh, hey, I got it, Nick! Remember in a witch trial you can...
Yeah, I get it, thanks. I know. And that contradiction should provide us with a much needed clue. I'm not entirely sure where the professor was going with this, but I believe in his judgment. Besides, if we're going to blow this case wide open, it's gotta be worth a shot. Very well, we will now take a closer look at Lady Darklaw's previous testimony. This is it, Miss Darklaw's previous testimony. There is a glaring contradiction between this piece of testimony and the others. Ready yourself, Mr. Wright. Okay. Those that are put to the flames in the witch trials become shades who live their lives in the woods. Lady Darklaw was our venerable mistress. She assigned us our task. She was the Great Witch. Was the Great Witch. In comparison to what she said, which is that I am known as the Great Witch. Oh, they just moved to the center of the courtroom. Just to have that one shot, okay? Your Honor, there's obviously a huge discrepancy between these two bits of testimony. Miss Darklaw stated that she is known as the Great Witch. However, according to Miss Kira's testimony, Miss Darklaw was her venerable mistress, the Great Witch. That is correct. She was the Great Witch. Now, note Miss Kira's use of the past tense. Past tense? I'm afraid my grammar's not quite... It's not... this is like kindergarten level stuff. It's simple. Miss Darklaw was mistress to the Shades, or as they also called her, the Great Witch. Therefore, she is no longer the Great Witch. She is not the Great Witch. Witness, is this true?
Huh? Is that you have heard, my lord? I relinquished my position as the Great Witch in order to fulfill the objective of this task.
What will that objective be again? That would be the assassination of the storyteller, Your Honor. Witness, at the beginning of this trial, you stated that you came to town in order to complete your task, didn't you? What's more, you said that you were going to summon the fire dragon to do it. Now, this task, it wasn't Miss Darklaw here that gave it to you, was it?
No, it wasn't.
So then, the most pressing question is, who was it that gave you that task? Who told you to come to Labyrinthia and assassinate the storyteller?
I cannot tell you no matter what.
Alright, so Darklaw isn't the Great Witch anymore. Which must mean the mastermind behind this entire thing is... would seem the defense has worked it out as well. Mr. Wright, you know who really gave Miss Kyo her task tonight, do you not? I mean, if we're talking about a mastermind, then the storyteller's the one who's been working this whole thing. Like, the fact that he's still alive right now should be enough of an indicator to say that, hey, clearly he's working behind the scenes to accomplish something. So did he just want to fake his death to make everyone, I don't know, whatever. Clearly he wanted to fake his death for some reason or other. I guess to end the story, or for whatever reason that is. And to do that, he had to give the task to Kira to assassinate the storyteller. That's the only thing I can possibly think of that makes sense.
Take that!
The storyteller? We're talking about someone with the authority and power to replace the Great Witch. Someone who calls the shots. I can't think of anyone else that meets those criteria except for the storyteller himself. Preposterous that would mean. Exactly, Ilona. It means that the storyteller gave this final task to Kira himself. He wasn't sure responsible for his own assassination. What? Order! Order in the court, but for what purpose? Why would he plan his own assassination? That I cannot say, Your Honor. However, the final chapter of the story does tell of his inevitable death. While he assigned the task to Kira himself, it is perfectly natural that he would do so. However, what is not natural is your behavior tonight, Miss Darklaw. What was unnatural about the High Inquisitor's behavior? You were once the head of all the Shades, and yet tonight you tried to interfere with the storyteller's plan. You rendered Miss Kira unconscious and locked her away in the belfry of the bell tower. That, to me, seems like the activity of someone aiming to put a stop to this plan altogether. Indeed. Lady Darklaw, what would be the reason for such behavior? Ooh, pick me, I know. Could it be because she's sisters with Espella, and she tried to frame Espella because, I don't know, she's pissed that her father gave her special treatment instead of her? I have no evidence to support that, except for the fact that I guess Espella got a nice fancy room and Darklaw got nothing. But, aside from that, that's all I got as to why she would want to frame Espella for all this, and thus betray the storyteller in the process. She was aiming to betray the storyteller. Betray the storyteller? I agree, Mr. Wright. The storyteller used the Great Witch's Zealot to take his own life. And instructions to carry out the plan were given to Miss Kira. However, Miss Darklaw planned to intervene and change the scenario at the very last minute. She planned to do so by changing the identity of the Great Witch from Miss Kira to Miss Cantabella, thus bringing to us our current situation. Miss Cantabella on trial for the murder of her father at the hands of Bazella. You, Miss Darklaw, seem to harbor a rather strong hatred for the storyteller, if I'm not mistaken.
A hatred, you say? Yes, I suppose you could call it that. That's right. Behold, my revenge.
Did you say revenge? Miss Darklaw, will you please tell the court of your plan for revenge?
If you insist.
The High Inquisitor, and also the Great Witch.
Long have I donned those two masks. One, as Abrindia's protector. The other, its harbinger of destruction. In other words, I was merely meant to serve him. And yet, he sought to selfishly pen the ending of the story under his own terms. He did not care about me, or any of the townspeople, to allow us the dignity of deciding our fate. Indeed, what we witnessed tonight was the cowardly act of a man looking for an easy way to end that which he could not properly finish. He cared for no one but himself, hence this sudden sham of an ending. And for that I will never forgive him.
Literally like someone going online to rant about how the story ended badly. What do you mean by sham of an ending?
The Great Witch was zealous to summon a dragon of fire and end the life of the creator. She will then be put on trial and judged, thus heralding a period of peace and prosperity for all of Labyrinthia. Such is the ending written for this town and its people. 'Tis not an ending I oppose in principle. Who would not wish a happy ending for their own people? However, the problem lies in Bazella's identity.
Bazella's identity?
As you know, he assigned the role of the Great Witch to this girl beside me.
But you're saying that was a falsehood, is that correct?
I know Bazella's true identity. 'Tis not something I could ever forget. That is why I went to the bell tower, and it is why I took the accused there. I did it to ensure the true witch foretold in the story was given the judgment she was due.
The true witch, you don't mean?
Yes, I speak of none other than Espella Cantabella.
Objection!
Miss Darklaw, there was a glaring contradiction in your statement.
And what would that be?
It's supposedly common knowledge that Bazella is capable of using all magic. However, that is far from the truth. Magic does not actually exist in this town. It was all one giant illusion created by the Shades. Therefore, the Great Witch Bazella cannot exist either.
Okay, but why would you create a fake? Why would you? What is the purpose of faking magic for everybody? Why? Like, actually, why though? Defender, you really don't have a clue, do you? I really don't. This might be the first time I've ever been like completely dumbfounded in a Phoenix Wright game as to what the hell is going on. But wait just a minute now. Is the defender not correct? If magic does not exist, then it goes without saying the witches do not exist either, and that would include the Great Witch, does it not?
Objection.
Mr. Wright, there is a fundamental mistake in your argument.
What do you mean?
I have but one simple question. What exactly is Bezella?
A cat. Maybe, I don't know. If the game goes that crazy, then maybe. Well, she's supposed to be the head of all witches.
Allow me to reword the question. The Great Witch Bezella is the root of all disaster within Labyrinthia. Knowing that, what specific disaster might she have been the root of?
That would be, I just saw something! We've been hearing Bezella's name left and right since we got here, but not once has the real Bezella shown up in person.
Indeed, Miss Faye. Bezella herself has been virtually absent from the story thus far. But Inquisitor, did she not claim the life of the storyteller tonight? It will appear so, Your Honor. However, there's just one more thing. Consider this. Which particular story is every citizen of Labyrinthia most familiar with?
Well, that would have to be the legendary fire, right?
Precisely. Surely you're not serious. As the name implies, there is but a mere legend. No one knows for certain if it occurred. So they say. But the reality is there are still traces of that terrible fire within this town today.
The professor's right! We've even seen some of it up close and personal.
You are indeed correct, Inquisitor. Littered throughout the town are burnt remnants of the fire most fierce. However, no one can say for certain what transpired back then. You see, not a soul saw what actually happened.
Let me see if I have this straight. There's an entire town full of people, and no one saw what happened? That's a lot of that's a lot of eyeballs doing nothing.
Correct, except for one particular person.
What?
There is one person who saw everything. I am speaking, of course, of the one responsible for the fire itself, the Great Witch Bezella.
Yes. Oh. I remember all of it.
Espella, what are you saying?
When I close my eyes, I can picture it so vividly. The awful sight of the flames engulfing everything they touched. The scorching heat on my skin. The smell of burning cinder all around me. The large plumes of black smoke. The warm tears streaming down my face. I remember it all. What you are recalling now is the moment the Great Witch Bezella destroyed our town. Well, it appears my role here is finished. As for the rest, I leave it in your capable hands, Inquisitor.
Huh? Darklaw, she just vanished into thin air.
She's right. These memories are proof that I am Bezella.
She said with her eyes being corrupted by something.
But Espella!
Mr. Wright? Remember, if you will, what I said at the beginning of this trial. I came here to prove that Espella Cantabella is in reality the Great Witch Bezella. Right. There is still one more thing I wish to present to the court. I would like to call the final witness to the stand. The final witness? Is it going to be the storyteller himself, since he's now somehow magically alive? Yep, right on cue. Ah, it will appear he has arrived. Ladies and gentlemen of the court, I give you this trial's final witness, the storyteller. And just like that, he appeared. The man who died not hours before, and the victim of this very trial, the storyteller himself. The professor sure chose one heck of a final witness. Morning is drawing closer and closer. How this trial will end is anyone's guess. Okay, sounds like we're gearing up for a finale, ladies and gentlemen. We're so close to the truth. The thing I'm stuck on is why. Why go to so much trouble to fake magic for the entire town? What is the point in doing that? I guess we'll have to wait and find out. That'll be it for now. Thanks for watching. Stay tuned for next schedule tomorrow for some more Professor Layton versus Phoenix Wright Ace Attorney. Goodbye.